Hi class! Today I'm going to be talking about gonorrhea, which is the bacteria that I chose. First off, I'm going to be talking about some of the diseases that gonorrhea can cause if it's left untreated. First off, it can cause pelvic inflammatory disease, also known as PID. It can cause ectopic pregnancies and infertility. A common name for gonorrhea in the olden days was known as the clap. Probably a lot of people have heard about that.
Conscience got the better of me. She looks good on the outside, but she has the clap.
Scientific name for gonorrhea being called Neisseria gonorrhoeae. Now for some of the background and history of gonorrhea. Gonorrhea is actually derived from the Greek words gonos, which means seed, and rhea, which means flow, reflecting in the early incorrect belief that the purulent discharge was actually just semen, which we now know is not true. A German physician named Albert Neisser identified the bacterium responsible for gonorrhea in 1879. Some cases of gonorrhea date back to ancient civilizations like Romans, Greeks, Arabs, and the disease itself has been recognized for at least 3,500 years, which is a very long time. Now for some of the characteristics and morphology of the bacteria. It's gram-negative, non-motile, and encapsulated. It doesn't produce endospores. It has a cell envelope, which contains an inner cytoplasmic membrane, a peptidoglycan cell wall, and an outer membrane. It's an obligate aerobe, which means that it requires oxygen to grow, and it ferments only in glucose. It also has a fast generation time of 60 minutes, which is very fast. And its morphology is its diplococci, which is just pairs of kidney bean or coffee bean shaped cells. Some of the virulence factors include pili, which are hair-like structures that facilitate the attachment to host epithelial cells, allowing for colonization. It has opacity proteins, also known as OPA, just basically means it has an outer membrane. It has outer membrane proteins that mediate adhesion and invasion. It also has lipoglyceride, which is known as LOS, which is a component of the bacterial cell wall that triggers inflammation and an autoimmune response. For the reservoir and host range, it's really only seen in humans. Incubation period is 2 to 7 days. For the transmission, it's primarily transmitted through vaginal, anal, or oral sex. It can also be transmitted from mother to baby during childbirth if the mother has gonorrhea. It can also be transmitted through sharing sex toys or getting infected semen in the eyes. For the pathogenesis of the disease, transmission and initial attachment, gonorrhea is primarily transmitted through sexual contact, as I just talked about. The bacteria attach to the mucosal cells, particularly the columnar and transitional epithelial cells. Type 4 pili are crucial for initial adherence and subsequent colonization, forming microcolonies on the epithelial surface. For the colonization and invasion of the bacteria, after attachment, the bacteria colonize the mucosal surface and can invade the host cells. Host signaling pathways are activated, promoting colonization and the infection. The gonococcus can exit as both extracellular and intracellular organism. For the inflammatory response and host damage, the infection triggers an inflammatory response, activating neutrophils and other white blood cells within the host body. And its sustained neutrophil influx can lead to host epithelial damage. The inflammatory response can result in conditions like pelvic inflammatory disease, or PID, as I said earlier, tubule scarring, and infertility. Some of the signs and symptoms in women actually include vaginal discharge, and it may be like thin or watery or pus-like, or bleeding between periods, pain or tenderness in the lower abdomen if the infection spreads to the fallopian tubes or the uterus, and pain during sex. 50% of women actually don't experience symptoms. As for the symptoms in men, they can experience a white, green, or yellow discharge from the penis, pain or swelling in the testicles, or inflammation or swelling in the foreskin. Some of the general symptoms include like a sore throat if the throat is infected, eye pain, sensitivity to light, and pus-like discharge from the eyes if that's infected, pain during urinating or burning sensation.
Hey, gonorrhea! How's this for a burning sensation?
Anal itching, soreness, bleeding, or painful bowel movements if the rectum is infected. As for the treatment of the disease, for treatment in adults, a single intramuscular dose of cleftaxirone, which is an antibiotic. It's 500 milligrams for those under 300 pounds and 1 gram for those over 300 pounds. And cleftaxime is usually given orally with other antibiotics like athromycin, but only when the cleftaxirone is not feasible. So if somebody cannot like have an injection of the antibiotic. Cleftaxirone targets the bacterial cell wall, breaking it down and killing the cell. Treatment in partners, if you have gonorrhea, then your partner should be screened and treated with the antibiotics as well. And for treatment for babies who develop gonorrhea after being born to somebody with the infection can be treated with the same antibiotics mentioned as well. For prevention and control of the disease, practice safe sex, so using a condom during like intercourse, limiting the number of sexual partners, getting regular STI screenings, notifying sexual partners if you have the infection, or seeking prompt treatment with the antibiotics. Thank you guys for listening and watching.